Good morning, guys. Danny with Partey. So I had a couple of questions and I had a couple of comments. The questions that come via email, and they were, really good questions in the respect that they were asking about the paint mix and they were asking if it's going to have a lot of sparklies in it. So real quick, I don't want to go into way detail. I'll just kind of cover off on, and I'll go into more detail whenever I share the mix. But the only way that you're going to get a dark paint, whether it's a gloss or a semi-gloss or a flat, doesn't really matter. There's still going to be a lot of absorption just due to the tone of the paint itself and the amount of particle that's in the paint. Once again, whether you using a gloss or whether you using a flat, doesn't really matter. There's differences in there. I'm not going to say that they're one and the same. But the amount of absorption is still going to be a big hurdle to overcome. And the only way that you do that with paints is whenever you use some sort of metallic flake additive or a mica or something along that line, right? So to answer the question, this will not be anywhere near as sparkly as things that you've seen in the past. There will be some graininess if you get up real close on the screen. And when I say real close, I mean right up on the screen. But the reality is, people don't watch their screens from that close. I mean, I get it that people are trying to show, just how good the resolution is from up close and things like that. And the resolution will be fine. But, you watch from generally 6 to 12 feet or more, from the screen. So, you're not going to be close enough up unless someone's using a very low grade of metallic where it's, larger micron and it really stands out. Then yes, you will notice, and you'll even notice it setting 12 feet away. It's just going to look very grainy. And that's not what this is. I wouldn't even share it. I wouldn't waste my time or yours sharing this if it was something that was going to look like that. So, I'll do the demo. If you have more questions, I'll be glad to, answer any of those that come up. The next thing I want to cover off on, and this is something, giving credit where credit's due again, because, I highlighted Phantom HD Illuminate yesterday. But I want to highlight Crow in a statement that he made here a while back. And it was really a video about, I guess, a number of guys that have been hitting him up about their black mixes. And so I've always received a few different emails from folks saying, they were working on their own personal stuff and, did I have any hints or tips? And I'm always glad to share information. I love being collaborative with people and talking shop. I really do, but here's why. I can talk to my wife about this stuff and her eyes after a while just kind of glaze over. She loses interest, right? She likes the fact that we're involved, but she doesn't really like getting into the details. My oldest son, he's very interested and has always taken an interest. My younger son, same thing. After a while, you start to kind of lose him. He's more interested in making a little extra money making screens than he is with the actual design process. So I love to talk shop with people. Me and my brother-in-law from time to time will talk shop, and it's all good stuff. I mean, it's just kind of like a personal interest that you have a passion about. So you always like to share that info. But let me be clear. If you come at me in a rude manner, you're not going anywhere. I'm not going to highlight anything. I'm not going to even mention you at all. And that's kind of where we are. I've gotten a number of guys that have reached out that are, trying to pick a little, I guess, personal media dogfight, that quite frankly, I'm not up for. Okay. So here's my statement. If you feel that you have this black stuff, black paint mix, whatever it is that you feel the world needs to know about, then use your channel and sell it, highlight it, sell it, and good luck to you. And I mean that. Best of luck to you. I hope that everything works out the way that you hope it does. I will tell you that when I got in, I was naive to the fact that, it's one thing to make a few personal mixes and sort of, put it out there and get people, a little bit of interest generated. It's another thing entirely to turn it into a business. And I know that some of these guys out there know that. I'll even give Luminous 4K that much credit, that no doubt he understands. He's tenacious, if nothing else. Okay, so I don't agree with the information that he puts out there, which is why that started. But that was just to help others in the community that he was attacking. And quite frankly, he was attacking the whole community, basically putting everybody down. So that is why that occurred. It was not a bullying effort to try to generate subscribers or anything like that. That has not been my point. Those who have followed this channel know that I do no hard sales. That's going to change soon, but I've never really focused on hard sales. I've just kind of shared information, showed you what we're working on. Here recently, you did hear me say that I believe that we have the best on the market, and I still stand by that because, quite frankly, a lot of these videos that you guys are submitting to me, and when I say you guys, I mean the guys with the black paint mixes out there, the videos that you're submitting are all in the dark. Okay, so that I'm not saying this as a put down. I'm saying that's not going to impress. It doesn't impress me. It may impress a few folks out there. Hopefully it does, and it starts to generate some excitement for your channel. But I'm not going to get into some sort of, social media dogfight with folks over that kind of stuff. The guy that we always highlight is a rare instance, and the only other person that I've ever had anything to say about was the person who stole my channel. Okay, they basically ripped our channel off, and even to this day still basically parrot the things that I say without going into detail because they don't have the details. So all of that stuff, when you see things suspicious, guys, it's just as simple as if it don't look right, it's probably not right. And I'll leave that there because at the end of the day, I'm telling you, you're not going anywhere. If you come at me rudely like that, if you want to collaborate, if you want to talk shop, I'll be glad to talk shop with you. But if you're going to come after me, just start the conversation with, hey, your stuff sucks. Yeah, I'm not going to give you the time of day. Just bottom line. As a matter of fact, I'll block you from the channel. The other thing I would state is that I watch in small little spurts, so I just kind of skip around in the video and try to listen to some things. But one thing that he said that they designed their own game. So times 7, times 8. And, that's been a point of conversation for a while because I think most folks realize that what does that match up to? What does that correlate to? It doesn't correlate to anything, guys, because he made the sense that, people use 1.0 and 1.1. He don't go in for all that nonsense when it comes to gain. Guys, it's not nonsense. That's like saying, you need a 7/16 wrench or a 5/8 wrench or a 13 millimeter wrench. That correlates to something real. It's an industry standard, okay? Gain is an industry standard. And here's the basics of how gain works. So if you use a 1.0 white gain, that means that you're basically getting the same amount of light back that is hitting the screen. Okay, so reflective wise, that's why bright screens, white matte 1.0 white screens are so balanced. They're probably the most balanced screen that you'll ever find out there. Now, I'm not going to say that they're the best in contrast, but they are balanced. When you get to a 1.1, that means that you've just increased the brightness return to you by 10%. 1.2, 20%, 1.3, 30%. So, just do the figures yourself. When you go into sub-gain, so if you go to a 0.8 gain, then that means that you're losing 20% of the light that your projector is actually pushing out. So at least in the return back to you. If you go to a 0.7, you've lost 30% of the light that's coming back to you. So that's why gain is important, because you can understand based on the lumens and the amount of lux that your projector creates on the screen, you can tell how much you're going to lose. For example, the Optima HD143X that I use, generally, in most imagery, in eco mode is going to push out somewhere between about 500 lux to about 600 lux, according to how bright the images are. So if I'm pushing 500 lux on the screen and I'm using a 1.1, then I would be able to get back 550 lux worth of return to my eyes, which makes the screen appear brighter. If I was to use a 0.7, or let's just use, say, a 0.8, then in a 0.8 gain, then I'm losing 20% of that light. So I'm down now to 400 lux that would be in any kind of return. So that's why gain in measurement is so important. It is an industry standard. So it gives people a means to measure. Now, when you look at people on AVS forums and things like that, these are smart people, most of them. I know there's some jerks out there too, but most of these guys are highly educated in their fields, or they've take a personal passion and understand how projection works. So when you're looking at somebody like the Bird Channel, which has basically been banned from AVS Forum from Life, from what I understand anyway, it just goes to show that, these folks, they're not fooled by those kind of tricks, those kind of parlor tricks, the gimmicks, selling, $3 worth of roofing felt with some paint, $20 worth of paint on it for $700. They're not going to fall for those tricks. And all we've ever tried to do is to help people understand you shouldn't either. That's it. Simple as that. But at the end of this, I've got a little video that shows some controlled environments and some of the screens in those environments and the contrast levels that they pull up. So you guys judge for yourself. It doesn't matter how many 50-minute videos are put out there. The truth is the truth. And we'll leave you there. You guys have a great day.